So welcome to the BCIT Magnetic Resonance Imaging Information Session, or MRI information session, which is easier for me to say. My name is Erin, and I'm one of the marketing coordinators for the School of Health Sciences at BCIT. And so we're putting on these information sessions all week. If there's others you'd like to attend, please do join us for other ones as well. Our presentation tonight will be hosted mainly by Ray Lee, our program head, with some information from me as we go along as well. And I have Maggie and Darren in the session as well to answer questions or to post information in the chat and to be some support here. So 4 of us from BCIT, and I hope we can answer all your questions and give you all the information you need this afternoon. Now, as we do go along, please post any questions you have in the chat. We will try to answer some of those as we go along, and we'll answer the remainder at the end of the session. So we will have time at the end for Q&A. So you can post those in the chat, but do hold off. It might take us a bit to answer those. Please do not unmute yourself during the course of our session. But if we are a smaller group at the end, I might ask people if they can unmute and ask questions that way at the end of the session during the Q&A portion. But for now, if we could all stay on mute just so we can minimize interference, that would be wonderful. So our next slide here, I want to acknowledge that the BCIT campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam. And if you could take a moment to just quietly acknowledge the location that the unceded territories that you were most likely located on this evening. I'm sure we're all from different areas at this point, not all in Burnaby. So our agenda today is welcome and introductions. That's the part I'm doing right now. Then we will have one poll question for this session, just to see how much you guys know about MRI already. Just a fun little thing, we're not recording anything from ARCs, so it's just a fun little thing. Our presentation and program overview from Ray and myself with some information about program advising, and then our Q&A at the end. So at this point, I can pass it to Ray. And Ray, do we want to start with our poll?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Erin.
What does a patient have to wear when they get an MRI? We can just click on one of the options there, which one you think is the best answer. Is it a helmet, a lead apron, earplugs, or protective eyewear? A few different results coming in here. And I see a few people haven't responded, so okay, I'm going to end polling there and share the results, and Ray can tell us what the right answer is.
All right, so the correct answer to the question, what does a patient have to wear when they get an MRI, is earplugs. So the majority of us picked that, so that's great to see that most of you have done your research, or maybe you've had an MRI before, so this question was quite easy to get. So just to reintroduce myself, my name is Ray. I am the program head for the MRI program here at BCIT, and I'm super excited to present to you all today a couple of different credentials that you may be interested in that is offered at BCIT. So first, we're going to go over, just to give you a brief overview of what exactly is MRI. So we'll go to the next slide. So MRI stands for magnetic resonance imaging. It's a quite fast-growing modality. So if you've had one before, or you've gone through kind of the hospital setting, you've probably noticed that every site, every hospital has one MRI, or even 2, or even 3 at this point. It's quite a new type of technology, as it was invented in the 1980s. So compared to some of the other common modalities that you might see on medical and hospital TV shows, it is quite new. So how MRI kind of stands from the rest of them is that MRIs produce very high resolution imaging. We can image from head to toe, and its specialty is mostly in soft tissue structures, such as like organs in your brain, during neurological studies and seeking out pathology. But it can also image bony anatomy as well. So like I said, the images are in high resolution. They can be acquired in different planes, just like in CT or computed tomography. And we have the ability to make certain structures on our images look either bright or dark, and that's how we get these high contrast images as well. So how MRI generally works is that the patient, as you can see in that picture, is laid down on the table. They go into a big machine, which houses a very large, powerful magnet. And then what it does is that it interacts with all the abundant hydrogen protons that you have in your body. So the hydrogen protons are attached as a water molecules, so 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. So we have a lot of those in our body. So what that allows the MRI machine to do is to take advantage of all of those hydrogen protons, how they react with the large magnet within the machine that the patient goes into. And then we use radio frequencies then to interact with those protons, and then those protons will give off an energy, then which is captured by a camera, and then it gives us the images on their computer screen. So one great thing about MRI is that it has no ionizing radiation, unlike X-ray or CT, to obtain their images. So it's really good for patients where they can get multiple MRIs done. And it's also safe for the technologist so that they aren't accidentally or on the regular exposed to ionizing radiation as part of their daily job. So it's quite safe for a worker or a technologist in MRI to go into day after day. So on the next slide, we have 2 very different program pathways. So I'm hoping that there's a really nice mixture of people here today that would be interested in one or the other. So just to give you a brief overview of the 2 programs or 2 credentials that we have an advanced certificate program. So those are for those technologists who already work in another imaging modality, such as sonography, medical radiography, nuclear medicine, or radiation therapy. And this program is delivered online, and it is a part-time studies program. If you do not work in the hospital or clinical setting already as part of an imaging technologist, then the diploma program is something that you would be interested in. So this is a in-person, full-time, 2-year diploma program that will be delivered at BCIT. And as stated on the slide there, it's for students who do not have previous healthcare experience or healthcare education. So we're first going to visit the advanced certificate program, which is for those, once again, who are already working in the hospital or clinical setting. So a question to ask yourself is the advanced certificate for you? So if you're interested in advancing your career, this is a popular stream to go into. If you can work independently or as part of a team, and if you're able to work under pressure. So the reasons why you may want to consider these points before applying to the advanced certificate is that the MRI scanners, some of them operate 24/7. So that means you're going to be working independently, maybe on a night shift. But then if you're working during the days and the evenings and the weekends, you may be part of a larger team of technologists and other healthcare providers working in the department. A lot of the MRI sites do deal with acute patients nowadays. So patients who come in that have gone through traumatic experiences, they're having strokes, maybe you're having patients coming down from the ICU or the intensive care unit, and also working alongside other high acuity healthcare professionals. You are kind of the gatekeeper in the MRI department and kind of are the person that all the other professionals turn to. So you're going to have to be able to work under that type of pressure. So as we previously stated, a diploma or degree in one of the 4 listed medical imaging diplomas or degrees is necessary for the advanced certificate. And you also need active registration with CMRT or Sonography Canada. So if you have gone through one of the 4 programs there, you should be familiar with what the CMRT or Sonography Canada requirements are there. The last bit is the MRI safety screening form. So generally it is a screening form that we give to patients, but we also as technologists need to make sure that you are safe to work in the environment itself. So in the actual MRI suite, there is that large, very powerful magnet. So we have to make sure that there's nothing that you have on you that would deem you unsafe from working in that environment. So if you've had any type of surgeries, any type of implants or anything in your body, then we just have to make sure that before allowing you entrance into the program, that you're 100% safe to go into that MRI suite and work with patients. So for the next slide, we're going to go over what the program overview is. So it is a part-time online studies program, which consists of 6 online courses, and then we'll complete with a 16-week clinical at a clinical site. So you'll be taking your theory courses online at your own pace, and then we will sign you up at BCIT to work with one of our partner sites to set you up with a clinical within where you, hopefully close by where you live. One great thing about the advanced certificate is that you can transfer those credits as well into our Bachelor's of Health Science program, which is a really big perk at BCIT. So if you are looking for a bachelor's degree or even a second bachelor's degree, this is a great way to port over all of your credits that you get from your advanced certificate into the Bachelor's of Health Science. For those of you who are thinking about pursuing this, the shortages of MRI technologists, as you probably know, across the board and in a lot of the healthcare professionals, there's quite a shortage. And a lot of sites are shutting down hours or having troubles covering shifts. So the Ministry of Health has identified that issue, and specifically for MRI technologists, there is a bursary that has been approved by the Ministry of Health, and they've given BCIT a sum of money to help students get their way through this program so that we can graduate technologists quicker. So as you remember, we have 6 online courses. So the ministry will provide financial aid to those students who have completed 4 out of those 6 online courses. And then so when you have your last 2 courses and your clinical left, the bursary will cover the costs of your courses, will cover the costs of your leave of absence when you take one from your clinical site to do your clinical term here at BCIT, and they will also pay for your certification exam. So there is a kind of a deadline for this bursary. So the money will, once the money ends, the bursary is over, or the bursary will also end at the end of 2024, whichever comes first. So for those of you who are contemplating this, it's a great time to get in to complete your first 4 out of 6 courses in quick succession, and then take advantage of this bursary program, which covers most, if not all, of the costs associated with taking the last 2 courses in your clinical term. So it's a great incentive. All right, so let's talk about entrance requirements. So entrance requirements into the advanced certificate, we are requiring 2 years of education in English. So you can see the bullet point under that piece of entrance requirements. And then you have your post-secondary education. So as previously stated, one of the 4 of the following diploma or degree programs is required for the advanced certificate. The next slide will cover the non-academic entrance requirements. So as we were talking about before, the MRI safety screening form, just to ensure that you are safe to work in the environment itself. And then also the current active registration with the CMRT or Sonography Canada. All right, so now for the next slide, we can talk about the start dates, just because this is a year-round application period program. So there are 3 specific intakes. So we have a winter, spring, and fall term. So you can see the start and end dates of each of those intakes there. The recommended time to complete this program is 2 years, but you have up to 3 years to finish the advanced certificate in MRI. And most students will register in that clinical term right after their last theory term, or at the very most within 2 terms of completing all your academic courses. And that is just to provide the most amount of success in terms of completing your clinical term and successfully writing your CMRT certification exam. All right, so I think I'm going to pass it to Erin, and she will go over some of the application steps.
Make sure I unmute myself. Thank you, Ray, for all of that information. Again, that information was about the advanced certificate program, and we will discuss the diploma program shortly too, so you'll have that other option. So just before we go to the diploma program, I want to talk a bit about how to apply for the advanced certificate. So the application steps are fairly straightforward. All applications at BCIT are done fully online now. So you would go to our website, review the requirements and the application dates. You would complete the required forms. You convert all your documents to PDF files and you'd apply online on our website. Now, when it says convert all documents to PDF files, that includes transcripts and anything else you're using to apply. Everything would need to be uploaded as a PDF. So we don't send in originals anymore. So the process, once we receive all your documents, so admissions department of BCIT reviews your applications, make sure you meet the minimum entrance requirements. Admissions then forwards your complete application to the MRI department. The MRI department takes a second look and reviews all of your documents. And then admissions will send out acceptance letters to applicants. And you need to pay your commitment fee within a time frame that they put in your acceptance letter. And then you are committed to take courses here. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Ray to now talk about the diploma program.
Great, thanks, Erin. So this MRI diploma program is a new program that's offered at BCIT. Just to give you a bit of background, this program will start in January of 2023. This will be the second MRI diploma program across Canada, with the first one existing in Edmonton. And then all of the other MRI programs across Canada are all advanced certificate programs. So what this means for us here in BC is that this is going to be a direct entry to practice program where you don't need any sort of previous healthcare education or experience. So this is a very exciting initiative, and this will help us hopefully alleviate the shortage that we're all experiencing in the healthcare setting. So it's really great for job opportunities to be able to go straight into a MRI diploma program. So we'll jump right into it. So our MRI diploma program is a 2-year full-time on-campus program with 1 year of academics, in-person instruction, and then a 1-year clinical term. So you'll be spending equal amounts of time learning academics, but being able to also tie that into practice in the clinical setting. The clinical placements are offered around BC. So we have a lot of different sites that we're partnered up with that we can place students at. And unfortunately, the MRI diploma is only for BC residents only. And the diploma is a 12-seat cohort in size, so it is quite small. Some of the program details on the next slide is a start date of January 2023, and their application period is open until September 15th. So we are going to be looking at receiving applications from today until September 15th. And you must complete a complete application, which includes all your supporting documents, by the deadline date. The application steps, once again, I'm going to throw over to Erin to give you a little bit more information about this.
I just wanted to reiterate what Ray just said about having your complete application in by the deadline date. That means that you cannot be taking courses that are prerequisites after that date. So you do need to have it all completed by that date. So again, the application steps, you go to our website, you review all the requirements, application dates, make sure you have everything set, understand it all. You convert all your documents to PDF files. So as I mentioned before, everything's submitted electronically. Now, PDF files, you can take a paper document and scan that into a PDF file. You can use your camera and set it up really well with your phone and take a photo of it, just make sure everything's clear, and convert that to PDF. So it's not too onerous of a task. You will then go on to Altus, which is a company that administers a test called Casper and Snapshot. So if you just Google Casper, you'll find the Altus website, or there's a link to it from our program webpage. So you'll complete both Casper and Snapshot and the mandatory questionnaire that's on our website. Casper and Snapshot will be sent directly from their company to BCIT's MRI program. There are specific dates listed on the Casper website as to when you can complete Casper. And I know it might sound a little bit daunting or confusing right now, but honestly, if you go onto their website and go through one of their practice tests, read the material, it's very straightforward. It's kind of like moral dilemma questions. So there's no clear right or wrong answer, but it's really tells us kind of how you process information, how you think through things. It's kind of those soft skills being tested. So do check that out. Make sure you register for a test date on there. And then you apply online to be at bcit.ca on our website. Again, all of this is laid out very clearly on our program webpage, so you can check it out there. So the academic entrance requirements for the diploma program. Just like the other program, proficiency in speaking and listening in English. So you need to have done 2 years of full-time education in English in an English-speaking country. So if you did your grade 11 and 12 in Western Canada in an English-speaking program, you have this. So it's not too onerous. English 12, at least 73%, or 3 credits of post-secondary English, humanities, or social sciences at the same grade level. Math, pre-calc 12 at 73%, or again, there's a post-secondary option. Physics 12 at 73% or higher, or again, there's a post-secondary option for that. And then anatomy and physiology 12 at 73%, or 3 credits of post-secondary human biology. So those are the minimum entrance requirements. Because we might get more than 12 people applying to this program, it's always better if your grades are slightly above that. But if you meet that, you may have a good chance of getting in as well. And then the non-academic requirements, the MRI safety screening form that Ray mentioned earlier. Everybody who works in MRI must be screened for their own safety. So we ask you to fill out this form to make sure there's nothing that would prevent you from working in MRI once you graduate. And then a physical and program requirements form, the mandatory applicant questionnaire, and the Casper computer-based assessment and snapshot that I mentioned before. And again, a reminder to please register for the Casper test as soon as possible, as there are limited dates that they will administer that test online. Transcripts and documents. So again, this is kind of a bit of a review from what I said earlier. Uploading your digital documents. So scan or take a picture of your official transcript and upload it. Or you can download your digital transcript from your previous school and upload it straight from there. So mailing transcripts is not recommended. Please do not mail paper copies of your transcripts to BCIT. It's all online now. If you have been a BCIT student previously, we do not need your transcript. We already have it on file. We'll access that directly, so you don't need to submit a previous BCIT transcript. So the admissions process, once you get all your documents in and you send it all off to us, admissions at BCIT will review your application, make sure you've met all the minimum requirements, and then they'll forward that application to the MRI department. The MRI department will review the documents, and if we have more than 12 applicants for the program, we will select the 12 most qualified, the 12 with the best chance, and we will then have admissions and acceptance letters to those 12 who've gotten accepted, and you will be required to pay your commitment fee. Ray, do you want to continue on from here?
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, and just to kind of add to what Erin said about the admissions process, if you are interested in seeing what criteria we use in order to shortlist applicants, because we will have more than 12 applicants for this program, you can visit the program website, which has been linked in the chat, and then you can see under entrance requirements near the top a list of shortlisting criteria that the program will be using in order to selecting the best 12 applicants for the program. So in terms of the career outlook, as stated multiple times, you know, and as you know, that healthcare shortages are rampant everywhere, MRI technologists included. As of right now, there's about 30 openings in the Lower Mainland for MRI technologists, and about 45 openings throughout BC. So with this MRI diploma program and us being able to graduate students every single year, and not having students have to go through a previous diploma or degree to get to this type of level of education. It's really going to expedite the process of getting MRI technologists out into the field. Some of the places that you may find yourself working is not only hospitals, but there are also clinics that have MRI magnets there. Research facilities are becoming very popular nowadays. So one of the closer research facilities to BCIT, which we are partnering up with, is called Image Tech at SFU. So they're doing a lot of neurological studies and doing a lot of research there. So you can be an MRI technologist that also works in that type of environment. In terms of pay, because you are, that should be something to be considered. Usually it's about $36 to $44 an hour at the hospital, and with a slight increase in pay at a MRI clinic. So lots of jobs, pay is great, lots of different avenues and environments that you can take your skills and work at. With varying levels of acuity. So there's kind of something for everyone. If you're not into that high acuity setting, you can definitely work at something that's a little bit lower acuity to kind of suit what you would like to do as a career. So we do have a couple of testimonials from previous advanced certificate graduates. So you can take a minute to read that, but kind of the gist of this first one here is that Harmon really enjoyed going out to clinical, being able to kind of tie that academic knowledge to a clinical term and being able to practice and solidify his learning that way. BCIT is a very kind of simulation, hands-on heavy school. So that also includes our MRI program, where we give the opportunity for students to go out and practice in the environment that they are going to be working in. But this also helps link that theory to practice, so that when you do write the certification exam, which is very kind of situational in terms of being able to kind of think on your feet and deal with issues and problems that may come up, having this clinical term and clinical experience really helps students be successful with the certification exam. And then the other next student here which also graduated from the advanced certificate program quite recently, started off in the BCIT medical radiography program, and she already kind of had her eyes on the MRI program shortly after. So she kind of had to go through that process of achieving a diploma in another imaging program before getting into MRI. So usually MRI is a 4 to 5 year endeavor at the end of things, the way that it is right now. But with this new diploma program, it's going to really, like I said, expedite this process of having an MRI ready technologist to come out in a 2 year span versus a 4 to 5 year type of timeline. So Cassidy was actually a very successful student through BCIT. She achieved the highest certification exam mark in all of Canada with the last write in January. So BCIT was really proud that Cassidy was a BCIT student, was very happy with their level of education and clinical term, and was able to achieve the highest mark across Canada. So we're very proud of her for doing that. All right, so that wraps up the MRI diploma information. Of course, we'll have Q&A at the end, and then I'm going to pass it over to Erin one more time, just to go over things and wrap things up.
Yeah, we've got all kinds of back and forth between Ray and I in this one. So I just wanted to say that once you apply to our program and if you're accepted, we don't kind of just throw you into the studies and leave you hanging. We like to support your success while you're a student at BCIT, whether that's distance learner on campus. So whichever program you would choose, we want to support your success. So I just wanted to highlight a few different areas that we do that. The first one listed here on the screen is Indigenous services. So through our Indigenous initiatives group, we have a welcoming gathering place for Indigenous students. We have different supports available there to kind of help ease the transition into BCIT and away from maybe your home community. Student financial aid and awards. So if you are looking for ways to fund your education, they are a great resource to help, check out. They have all kinds of information about how you can apply for different aid, different awards, different bursaries that might be out there. Accessibility services, if you are a student that would believe that you would need some additional supports in the way of accessibility, this is somebody you need to contact kind of right away when you get accepted to figure out what they can do. So it's both for long-term and for short-term accessibility issues, but they can help set up supports for you. Student health services, it's really awesome that we have a fully functioning medical clinic on campus. So if you're not able to get in with your family doctor or don't have a family doctor, as many of us don't anymore, this student health services has nurses and doctors on staff. It runs all year round. So if you need requisitions for blood work, if you have a rash that you're not sure about, whatever's going on with you, they are so easy to access and right on campus. Counseling and student development, of course, we want to offer counseling and psychological services to our students to help manage your campus life and your studies. And then finally, recreation services. We have a full service gym on campus. We have intramural sports. It's just a great way to de-stress between classes, before or after, just to make sure you get your workout in, so you take care of your body as well as your mind while you're a student. Next slide here, program advising. So we gave you a lot of information today, and you're probably going to take away some of it, and then you're going to have questions later on. So program advisors are who you want to contact when you have questions about BCIT and how to apply. They can help you try and figure out which programs might be better for you to apply to, make sure you have the right courses. Oh, does this course match up with the course that they're requesting? All of those kinds of questions. So program advising is available either by telephone, by Zoom, or in person, and by email. Now the hours on the screen here might not be correct anymore, because I know their hours are going to change for summer. So your best bet is always to go on our website, bcit.ca/advising, to just check the most recent hours. One tip though, if you need an answer very quickly, email is not the way to go. Email is great if you can wait a couple days for an answer, but if you need an answer quite quickly, you want to go with the telephone or in-person options. Okay, and lastly from me, while you're trying to make your decision about BCIT, once you've applied, once you're a student here, please do keep in touch with what's going on around campus. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and we are always updating on new things going on in the School of Health, what's going on with our students, our faculty, new projects. Our biggest new project that we're highlighting on most of our social media lately is that we are moving into a brand new building for September on campus. It's kind of building pictured behind both Ray and I in our Zoom screens today, and we're very excited about that. So do follow along on social as we move in. There are tours available of Riverview campus. We have other info sessions happening, so please do check out all of these links. I also wanted to let everyone know, I don't think I mentioned it at the beginning, that as you know, we are recording this session. We will be sending you a link to the recording and a copy of this PowerPoint slide deck, probably a week and a half after this session, to the email address that you used to register for the session. So if we went too fast over something, if we gave you too much information, you will have this to review later and kind of take your time going through. So look for that in your email inbox in about a week and a half. And now we're going to go to questions. And I see that there's a few questions popping up in the chat, and also some helpful links from Darren and Maggie. Thank you for doing that, both of you. That is a great question from Peter, and a great follow-up question from Maggie. Yes, so if Peter has previous experience in surgical processing in Alberta, would that count as previous experience for the diploma program?
Ray, I think I might ask you to respond to that, if that's all right.
Yeah, Ray.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of sorry, academic entrance requirements, it wouldn't really count towards anything there, but I think where you would be able to use that experience is that when you are filling out one of the non-academic forms that asks you about previous healthcare experience, that's where you want to put it down, because you are working with a team that kind of services different areas of medical imaging. So that would include X-ray, CT, MRI, where we use surgical trays and need sterile instruments. So I think just having that type of experience and being in that setting and working in a department that provides services to the MRI department, I think would be beneficial. So I think that's where you could probably pop that in.
And Peter, you did mention Alberta, so I'm just going to remind you again that the diploma program is only open to BC residents, unfortunately. So I'm hoping that you have since moved from Alberta to BC and you know that. Oh, and he says he is a BC resident. Okay, thank you, Peter.
Yes,
this is a good question here. With the completion of the diploma program, is that enough to get a job, or do you have to go back and do an advanced certificate? No, you do not have to go back.
Okay. No, you do not. So it's one or the other. So if you have no other imaging diploma or degree, and you go through the MRI diploma program and pass the certification exam, you will be able to work in MRI across Canada. You will not have to go back and get the advanced certificate for that. So at the end of the day, it's a 2-year program. You'll be able to work in MRI in comparison to the lay of the land right now, where you need to get a 2-year diploma and then go through the advanced certificate, which is usually a 2-year process for a total of 4 years. So you're cutting that down in half. And that kind of links to the question above from Zachary. So if the job market for MRI technologists becomes saturated, would it be possible to transfer to another type of radiology without a diploma program? So if you took the MRI diploma and found out that you couldn't get a job and you're thinking, okay, well, now I want to go into X-ray or CT or ultrasound, unfortunately, you would have to complete that diploma from scratch. So this MRI diploma is only good for this specific modality to work in MRI. So if you were to kind of wanting to switch modalities, you'd have to go through a brand new diploma at that point.
And I'll point out, Ray, that is the same for other diagnostics as well. If you take sonography, you can't then switch over to X-ray. They are all separate. However, we do not see a shortage of jobs happening anytime soon in MRI. So we think it's going to be a pretty good market for a while there. Laura's asking, for the advanced certificate, can clinical placements be done in other provinces?
Yeah, good question, Laura. Yes, they can be. So the advanced certificate program is meant for residents across Canada. So there are many students from outside of BC that go through BCIT's advanced certificate program. So they'll finish their 6 courses, and then when it's time to set up a clinical term, then BCIT will liaison with a clinical site that you would choose that would be close to home. Maybe you work there already and they have an MRI department, and then we would communicate with that clinical site to set up your clinical term, and then obviously give you support throughout that term through like online check-ins every month, things like that, to kind of make sure that you're supported throughout your 16 weeks. But yeah, you can definitely do this in other provinces.
That's great. While we're waiting for more questions to come in, I just wanted to also share these 2 email addresses. The first one is for Ray directly. This is his email. Yeah, just feel free to contact him with all the questions. So if you have questions about MRI, about the field, about work, Ray's your person. If you have questions about your transcript, program advising is definitely your best bet. Do you see this question here from Jacqueline, Ray?
I do, yeah. So interested in the Bachelor of Health Science MRI. Do I need to go through this MRI diploma? Do so? Okay. So the Bachelor's of Health Science MRI is there's a very specific pathway to get there, which is actually done through the advanced certificate only. It is not available with the MRI diploma to be kind of that prerequisite to get into the bachelor's. The short answer to that is that it has to do with the amount of credits that have to be done in order to transfer into the bachelor's. The Bachelor's of Health Science with the MRI option takes into account that you will be transferring roughly 120 to 140 credits from an existing diploma program, plus the 40 odd credits from the MRI advanced certificate. then to couple up with the last 7 courses in the bachelor's to kind of complete the amount of credits that you actually need. So unfortunately, the MRI diploma cannot ladder into the bachelor's afterwards because the credit amount isn't quite there.
Okay, follow-up question. Can the bachelor's courses be taken simultaneously with MRI courses when you're doing the advanced certificate? Or do you finish the advanced certificate first and then do the bachelor's?
Great question. Yes, so they can be taken at the same time. You would register for the bachelor's courses, so then you would have access to the bachelor courses on top of the MRI specific courses through the advanced certificate, and then you can definitely take them at the same time. A lot of students, though, do decide to finish the advanced certificate first at an accelerated pace, because at that point, then they can actually work in the MRI departments and then complete the bachelor's on the side at their own pace. Whereas sometimes if you take them at the same time, that may kind of slow down your progression through the advanced certificate and being able to work in the MRI field, which usually results in a increase in pay depending on which type of modality you're working before. But a lot of students do come from X-ray. So going from X-ray to MRI, there is a little bit of a pay increase then. So a lot of students do decide to finish the advanced certificate first and then do the bachelor courses afterwards, but you can definitely take them at the same time.
And just a reminder, if you're doing the diploma, you can work with the diploma. You don't need the bachelor's degree at the end to get into MRI at all. So you can still be very well employed.
Yeah, we're hoping that actually going through the in-person campus instructions for the MRI diploma is that you will actually come out of the program a lot more prepared, because our focus is solely on MRI. You do have the luxury of learning in class with hands-on experience in relation to the advanced certificate, which is all online, self-paced, self-taught. So we're hoping that through the first discipline program, and using the other school that already implements this, they also have a first and second discipline program, that their diploma students are quite strong in comparison. So we're hoping to graduate 12 very strong technologists each year. So Zachary, how long after each intake will applicants know if they've been accepted? So we are hoping to look at the application shortly after the deadline closes, which is September 15th. So we'll go through all the complete applications that we have at that point, and then select the strongest applications for the seats within the cohort for the MRI diploma. For the advanced certificate, it's kind of an open invitation, where if you have that diploma or degree, you have the CMRT or Sonography Canada designation, then you can apply into the advanced certificate, and as long as we have seats available, we can get you in.
Wonderful, thank you, Ray. Is there anything that you would like to add at all, Maggie?
No, I don't think so. So Ray's been really great about answering all these very program specific questions. So yeah, if there are any general questions that, as Erin said, you're being inundated right now with a lot of information. So feel free to email us at the email address on the screen there if you have any questions that come up after the session, and we'll definitely do our best to respond to you. So yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you again for attending. I want to thank Ray for presenting so much information and for heading this new program at BCIT. Thank Maggie for her time and her answers. And also thanks to Darren, who's been quietly in the chat, posting links for everybody. And thank you all for attending. I know our lives are all busy, so it's great to see you guys taking some time out to visit with us online and to learn about these programs. Please do keep in touch, and we look forward to hearing from you. And again, we will send you a copy of the slide deck and the recording in about a week and a half or so. And Darren's probably just kind of hitting himself right now going, oh, she's promising that in a week and a half, because he's got to do all the rendering of all the videos that we've been taking this week for our info session. So it's a lot of work behind the scenes. So thank you again for your time, and I'm going to end it off there. Please do send us any emails with anything else that you need to know after the fact. But thanks.
Erin, can I just answer one more question in the
sure.
chat?
One
Just
more
just
question.
before we go, yeah. Last second, just got it in there. Laura just had one question about the advanced certificate. So are you able to do more than the first MRI course in the first semester? Or is that a prerequisite? So minimum 3 semesters is the quickest way to get through. Yeah, so you're correct. So the first MRI course, which is our kind of foundational MRI physics course, is a prerequisite for the rest of them. So you are correct. You would probably want to do this in probably no shorter than 3 semesters in terms of the didactic courses. So that would mean you're taking 1 in the first term, 2 or 3 in the second term, and then the remaining 2 or 3 in the third term, along then following up with that 4-month clinical. So you could kind of expedite the process to finish everything within about 1.5 years. That would probably be about the quickest that you can go through.
Okay, thank you, Ray.
No worries. Thank you for all the great questions, everyone.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye now.